All right, I have a very interesting question for you. Which one of these two, well, numbers, if we can call them numbers, is bigger? Which one is bigger? Hmm, to me, I think this one over here, this one, to me, that's the biggest if I just try to guess, right? But math is not about guessing. Math is about knowing steps, knowing where to start from, what to do, how to think. So, whenever you encounter these kinds of problems, I just want you to think just one thing. Ask yourself, which one is bigger? Is it 4 to the 75 power? Oh, 75 power. I think this might be bigger, but oh, this is 5. This is 50, and between 4 and 5, well, 5 is the biggest, right? But, in math, you cannot guess. You really need to know what is happening. So before I solve it in front of you, I want to teach you something called exponent. And I don't know if you have seen this acronym. I don't know, it's PEMDAS, but I don't really want to talk about PEMDAS. I want to focus on this here, exponent. But if you don't know what this acronym stands for, I'll quickly go over it because literally some don't know. You could go out to the streets and go ask people, some of them, and a lot of them don't really know what this acronym names. So P stands for parenthesis, and in here you will have some numbers. And exponent, well, exponent, you're seeing some numbers right now with exponents. The M stands for multiplication, the D stands for division, the A stands for addition, the S stands for subtraction. But these here, we solve them from left to right. Well, if you don't understand when I say it from left to right, it means that sometimes you will solve division first and then multiplication, and sometimes, depends how the problem is structured, you will solve subtraction then addition. All depends how, but these two are interchangeable, so be careful. Whatever comes first from the left going to the right, that's the one you will solve. That's another story, and that's for another topic. Now let's focus on these two numbers here. They are look pretty big, and go ahead, you can go down in the comments and you can tell me which one is bigger. No big issues, not an issue. You could get it wrong, but that's why I really love math, because whenever you get wrong answers and you try to fix your mistakes, that's when it sticks to you forever. That's why practice, it's a way to perfect things. So, talking about exponents, the simple way of how an exponent looks is over here. So we were talking about exponent. It's a number raised to a power, right? And the x stands for the base, and the n here, that's the actual exponent. So that's when we need to focus on this here. We always focus on this here. So we need to focus on 75 and 50. So there's a formula. I don't know if you're aware of this formula. If you don't, write it down on a piece of paper and just don't forget it whenever you see these kinds of problems. If you ever get this problem in a pop quiz, this is the formula we use. It says that parenthesis x raised to the a power times b is the same as equal to x a b. What does that mean? It simply means that these two numbers here, this one here, especially this one, and this one, and this one, and this one, should be the same. So how can we make 75 and 50? We have to think of a number that can make them be the same. So, knowing this formula, we can think about reducing these two numbers, 75 and 50. What can reduce 75 and 50? So Let me clear up my screen. Let's focus on 75 and 50. There's a number. Can we reduce it by 5? Yes, we can reduce it by 5. Greatest common factor, or it's the greatest common factor we're trying to look for. Yes, so the biggest number that can divide this, we can start with 5, but if we divide 75, if we do 75 divided by 5, that will give you 15. You see, we can keep reducing this here. 15 divided by 5, 50 divided by 5, that would be, let me see, 10. Right, that's 10. You see, but we can keep reducing, so that's not the greatest common factor. We need to look for the greatest number that can divide these two exponents. So if you know a little multiplication, the biggest number that can divide these two is 25. So let's divide 75 by 25, and let's divide 50 by 25. So you can go ahead and do this in your head. It shouldn't be, or think of money, right? Think of money. If you have 3 25s, that will be 75. So that reduces to 3. Now, I hope you don't forget the formula, brackets b equal x ab. All right, so now we have reduced. So our bases, which numbers are our bases? Well, 4 is our base, right? And we reduce the first, this number here, which is 3. And b will simply write the common, the biggest, the greatest common factor, which is 25. Yes, that's 25. You see, are you understanding what is going on? Are you? Now, what about this one here? What about this one? The same, we use the same formula, right? We use the same formula. So 20, 50 divided by 25. If we divide 50 by 25, that's 2. Yes, exact. Think of money, right? You have 2 25 cents, 225. That'll give you 50. Or 25 plus 25, that's 50. You should be able to do this in your head. Now, knowing this, we have solved for the exponent and the base. What is the base? The base is 5, and we have the exponent. We simplified 2 and 25. Now, you see, we made these two look the same. Now that we know that these two are the same, there's something special we need to do. We don't need them anymore. That's the best thing. We don't need them anymore. Now that you know you've reached to this step, let's see which one is bigger. So we will end up with this here, and we have 25, and this is what we solve for, and 25. I don't want to say we don't need these two, but this is not the goal over here, right? We're trying to look to see which one is the biggest. Now, let's not focus on this, but focus what is in parentheses. That's why I really love to talk about PEMDAS. Without PEMDAS, it's easier to solve problems, understand problems. That's why I always say, you should spend a lot of time practicing PEMDAS to really strive in algebra. Now, PEMDAS here, parentheses, that's the first thing we do, always do, right? So this is what we're focusing right now. Now we're focusing the parentheses, and then inside the parentheses, we need to solve for the exponents. So this one over here is raised to the third power. What does that mean? It means that we are multiplying 4 by itself 3 times. So we will have 4 times 4 times 4. And what about this one here? Simply means we are multiplying 5 itself by 2 times. Now, we can go ahead and multiply 4 times 4, which is 16 times 4. And 16 times 4 should give you 64. And 5 times 5 is 25. So, which one is the bigger number? The bigger number was this one over here. Gives you 64. Now, in the comments, let me know, did you knew it was A or B?